Am I live?
Yeah. Sorry.
New engineer, but we're here with Hair Loss Solutions TV, and this is one of our Q&As, or what we like to call our Hair IQ. I get questions from the public, I get questions from the professionals that we train at our Hair Loss University, and these questions are very valuable for both the hair wearer and the professional. Not only what causes things, what are the best things to do, but also to know how to prevent them, or when you see them, you realize where they're coming from. The biggest question I probably have seen over the last 6 to 9 months, especially through COVID, is how am I losing so much hair in my hairpiece? Now, I've heard that, and we just finished a whole series on COVID hair loss of the growing hair and what stress does. Well, don't underestimate stress and the cause of hair loss to your hairpiece, your hair extensions, to your toppers, especially all of you that are watching this that are wearing extended wear. Extended wear meaning that it's attached and you sleep, shower, and live in your hair. But take a look right now. Take a look at this beautiful lady's hair, all highlighted, balayage, low light. This is a very expensive hairpiece. Now, when you take a close look, and I'm going to get our cameraman to give you a real close look at the top. She's wearing this. She doesn't really see much hair loss. She's starting to see a little bit here. You see the little bit of hair loss that's in this area. But I'm going to show you something that's going to really amaze you. When I take this hair over to the other side, look at the amount of hair loss that is in this hairpiece. These are holes almost, not through the hair system, just that the entire hair in most of the areas have been removed. Here's some hairs that are left with just the knot and the root, as well as here. What causes this? What causes this? That's the answer to the question we want to go through today. During COVID, during any kind of stress, we are scratching and we don't know that we're scratching. We get either nervous scratch or a sensitive scalp itch, whatever it might be, and we begin to scratch. And when we do that, hair comes out. I don't know if you can really see that hair, but the scratching is there. Now, I've heard this over and over again from clients. I don't scratch. I never scratch. Well, let me tell you a real story. I was in a consultation when the woman had come in and said, Jeff, I just bought this hairpiece 6 months ago. And I loved it. I spent good money for it. Everybody's giving me compliments. I love it, love it, love it. I love how I feel about myself in it. But it's faulty. It has problems. It must be the factory. It must be the factory didn't put the hair in. Now, when we examined all of the other hair in the entire hairpiece, there was no hair loss in the other areas. This specific area. Now, we have clients that over the years, we have kept some of their hairpieces when they've replaced them, and the same spot, almost like an alopecia spot, is in the same spot. And we can look under a magnifying lens and see where the knot has been lifted and where it's been scratched out, because it's being scratched and that little tiny knot eventually comes out. It doesn't take aggressiveness. It just takes the scratching, which is aggressive enough at that point. Why? Well, number one, it's most likely the scratching of your scalp just because you might be thinking, just because you're just a little nervous, or because you have a scalp irritation of some sort. It doesn't mean that you've got a scalp problem, at any point, but you could, and you should have that checked out. But the reality is that scratching is there, especially when you go into summer. Summer or winter, if it's dry, you're scratching, your scalp gets dry, or summer, your acid and alkalines are higher, so you're scratching. So it's all seasons. So hair loss like this, when you see this happening in your hair system, it is not a manufacturer issue. If it is a manufacturer issue, and I'm always ready to support my clientele and professionals when it's manufacturer error. But in the process of checking a hairpiece in, and we go through the process of going through a quality control check and applying it and wearing it for a number of days, let's say a week or 2 weeks or even 30 days, anything that would have appeared as a manufacturer error would have happened within the quality control check, or it would have happened within a week or less. Why? Because, again, the knotting is double knotted typically, and it's in there. It's really in there. But the problem is, we don't realize we're scratching. Second way to lose hair in a hairpiece is your brush. Can you see that? Your brush. If you're not using a wet brush, if you're not using a brush with beads on it, you see those beads? If you're not using that, your straight plastic or your straight even boar bristle can do the same thing that scratching has done. And look, I hope you can see that on the screen. Hairs come out. So let me review to this very, very costly, concerning problem question. How does my hairpiece lose this hair? And a lot of times, one last point I want to make out, and this is real life, this is real in the center or at home. The reality is, because it's styled over, you may not be seeing it. You come in and you may drop off your hair system to be taken care of, or you come in to have it taken off and reattached, and the stylist goes through cleaning and go through process, and she comes back and shows you this hole that you didn't see because it's on your head typically. And you say, well, I see that, Jeffrey. I showed you from the very beginning. You don't see it now because it's covered with the hair. But in turn, that relationship didn't happen back in the dispensary at a salon, in a hair replacement center. It happened during the weeks that you were wearing it, the weeks that you were scratching, the weeks that possibly the relationship of the brush that you were using was causing a pulling of the hair. Third real caution is friction. Friction, more the times than not, will break the hair. That's why if you're sleeping in a hairpiece, it must be on a satin pillowcase. Absolutely. If you're traveling, take it with you, not the pillow, but the pillowcase. If in fact you have a collar, if in fact you have a hat, a headband, glasses on top of your head, all those are friction points and will eventually take away that little knot. Now I'm going to show with you in the future IQ question and answer sessions, what is a hair tie knot? What does it look like? Well, it's like tying your shoe. It's there, but the reality is that we do a double knot, so it locks it like you do a little child's shoe so it doesn't come unknotted. But doesn't a little child's shoe eventually come unknotted? I got, two granddaughters. They're always going through the process of their shoelaces coming undone. Why? Because again, more of the pulling and playing and friction or pulling at it will cause it to unravel. So what causes hair loss in a hairpiece is the same type of thing that causes hair loss from stress-related hair loss on growing hair. The stress and the scratching and the brushing and any other type of friction. So write in for your questions. I will go as deep as you want to go into these questions, both for the professional, but also for the consumer, the person wearing hair, which is absolutely our ultimate desire. And we want you to really have an investment in your beauty, in your self-worth, and the value of your esteem. And we don't want that investment to go tank like this is when somebody after 6 months has this kind of hair loss. 6 months. And that really is discouraging. But it's not manufacturer error. It's not done in the salon. It's based on what happens from 9 to 5 or from the 7 days a week of wearing hair, whether it's taking it off and putting it back on, where the scratching can still be going on and the friction can continue, or if it's the relationship of attachment where we're sleeping in it, showering in it, doing all those other things. I'll come back and tell you what causes inversion. That was one of the second most asked question. But for right now, do you understand this problem? Take a look at your hairpiece. If you're wearing hair, take a look. And for the professionals watching this, take a look at your guest, just like you look at scalp when you're doing a haircut. Is there any abrasions? Is there any hair loss? Is there any issues to your client's scalp that you may have to inform that in? And do it before you take the hair system off. For the consumer, you want to take a closer look, maybe with a mirror, or you can get an overhead camera like we have in our studio, or whatever is necessary to see through the hair system so that you know. And you're professional, you tell them, I want you to watch for any hair loss in case I'm scratching. Now you say, well, Jeff, what if I am scratching and I don't even know it? And I was in a consultation, as I started to tell you, but I didn't finish that story. And the woman was saying, Jeff, I love this, but look at this. I don't scratch, she said, after I gave her the same explanation. I don't ever scratch. And her husband, sitting in the room, said to me and her, yes, you do. At night, sometimes it even wakes me up, you're scratching with both hands on your scalp. Case was closed at that point. but I don't always have a husband or a wife to be able to share with the relationship of what caused that. Now, who's to blame? No one. The point of blame is, let's push the blame aside and find the solution. What solutions are there? A very simple one is a product that is a sea breeze that you can spray into your scalp that can take away any of that itch very quickly. It is Brisk, is the name of the actual brand product, Brisk. And the Brisk product gives you the ability to cool the scalp, balance the acid and alkaline, and take away that issue. So understand what causes hair loss when you see hair loss of this extreme in such a short period of time on a very expensive, beautiful product. It's not a manufacturer's error. When it's a manufacturer's error, we will address that, and we'll address what our manufacturer errors in the future. But right now, take a look at your hairpiece. And for the professionals, take a look at your client's hairpieces a little closer and head off the problem before it becomes a costly and emotional and cosmetic challenge. I hope this brings you some knowledge. I hope it brings your IQ up a little bit in hair IQ, and I will bring more to you as you bring more to us right in the comments to truly ask your questions. Ask your questions every week. We will answer them for you, and we'll find those questions that are really important to everybody and share them with Hair Loss Solutions TV. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel that you're watching hopefully right now, or our Facebook, go back over to YouTube because we're always there. You're building a playlist. All of these will be continually compiled. There's stories of women and men and children that have gone through hair loss, their issues, their understanding of what experience they've had in the transformation of looking without hair and then what they felt and looked like with hair being replaced. So please subscribe and send us a couple likes. That'll help us because it helps us generate more ability to stretch out and reach more people in educating them on the hair loss solutions that are possible for them to make them look beautiful inside and out. I'm Jeffrey Paul. See you again on Hair Loss Solutions TV.